Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_3 Sam. Yep. And to our farthest right, per usual, is Rex Shady Nero.
What's going on, Rex?
No. And guys, today we got a really interesting podcast. A lot of variety of topics, but the biggest news headlined by OpTic Gaming, by Scump v Crim, and a lot more to go through, and a lot of news today, actually. And we're going to do our first Q&A on the podcast. But before we get anything else, we got to ask, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Josh, I am feeling so excited to be here right now, and I can't wait to see all the news we're talking about, and it's just going to be a good time.
Oh, no.
Man, he's holding that for a long time.
Sam, how you doing, dude?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Oh, my word. I hope you guys, and this will be so confusing if you're not watching on YouTube. You'd be like, what is happening right here? But, man, we are happy to have you guys all here today. And, guys, we have to say, Rex, unfortunately, you can't see us right now.
No.
But Sam looks incredible. And that's because he's wearing
the only
your favorite, best, the ultimate group merch on the planet. He is rocking your boys, not just your boys, the Oak Boys hat. Let's go, Rex. Hype in the chat. Oh my God.
Oh man,
why, dude?
He's struggling today. He's struggling.
I mean, when I saw that they were doing it, I had to cop. We had to cop because we know how much you love the Oak Boys.
How long did it take for that hat to get in?
Oh, like 2.5 months.
Jeez.
So long. Corona. I'll chalk it up to Corona. But
what does it even look like? Is it red? What?
Oh no, it's black. It's
black with some
white text.
Oh God! All right.
Give it a nice close up on the camera there for the folks out there. This is not sponsored by Oak Boys, by the way. If you think this is, I just did this for the memes.
No free shout outs.
No free shout outs.
Ever.
Dude,
not only is it
not
a free shout out, I bought the hat.
He bought the hat.
We got sponsored by the Oak Boys.
Yo, Oak Boys, if you want to sponsor us,
that would be?
Shout out. I got you. JCap, I've seen you've been playing with like Ninja and Courage lately.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
You know, if you want to leave Rex out of the sponsorship, we understand.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I would understand. If you just want to sponsor the people on the right side of the screen, I understand.
Totally understandable.
Yeah, that makes sense. But we do, if you want to listen to this without video form.
Yeah.
Just audio. That does exist. You can listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you want to see us, you got to listen on YouTube. And we do appreciate anybody who's dropping a review on Apple Podcasts. And because of that, we're going to read a review. MexJS Par says, 5 stars, best fan podcast. You guys are hilarious. Rex's impression of Josh talking about Envoy is the peak. I look forward to this podcast every week, and I love hearing your insight and breakdowns on all things COD. Keep up the great work, guys. Mex JS Par, thank you, brother. Or Mex J Spar, maybe that's what it is.
That was peak. That was peak best of 3.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate the review. And if you want to get shout out on the podcast, drop a review on Apple Podcasts. We might just read it. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about today. Without further ado, let's hop right into the news.
Let's get it.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
Bro, I hate balding so much.
Man. Bro.
Hey, don't we all?
It's the worst.
Yeah. Aren't we all balding from
We're all
birth?
balding. Yeah.
Sam, you got like a luscious head of hair. You're not balding anytime soon. Do you see me? It's like half my head is gone.
Dude, I mean, I can't wait.
It's mind-boggling.
For you just to do the best Maven impression of all time. That's soon around the corner.
You are set up perfectly.
And I mean, you're going to have a luscious beard, and it's going to be just glorious. So,
yeah.
But
considering
speaking of
hair
glorious,
transplant surgery. All right.
Right. I mean, yeah. Speaking of glorious, though, this was crazy. I mean, obviously, this happened now a few days ago.
What a segue.
But holy cow. I think all of our jaws dropped. The whole community, the whole COD community's jaws dropped when we saw this news that Hector Rodriguez, Hex, bought back OpTic Gaming?
Jeez.
Question mark? What?
What?
Who would have thought?
I mean, this is obviously was the bomb of the week. I mean, this happened again, like I said, a few days ago at this point. I made a video about it. We talked about it already, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably already read up on it a little bit. But basically, long story short, reportedly, it has yet to be officially confirmed. Yeah. But I mean, based off everything we've seen from everywhere, it feels like it's being confirmed, and no one has fought back on the information at this point. So it should be locked in that Hecz bought back the brand of OpTic Gaming from Immortals, and they, along with the brand, acquired the CDL spot, which is crazy. Because I mean, to be fair, I mean, OpTic Gaming was the CDL spot. Yeah. I mean, what a finesse by Hecz. I mean, think about this. He sold this thing to Infinite. Then Infinite sold high when OpTic was probably at its peak value to Immortals. And then Hecz buys back OpTic Gaming, I would imagine, for less than what they sold it to him.
Probably.
I would imagine. Unless because of the value of the spot, then maybe things change.
Maybe something.
But, I mean, I feel like this is a major dub for the Hunt. Well, for OpTic and for the Huntsman and for the CDL. For Hecz.
What a comeback.
For the fans. Guys, what was your initial thought when you saw this news? Rex, what was your thought?
What's happening with it? Like, is the OpTic Gaming brand gonna move toward be the Huntsman now, or
so many questions?
Or is he even gonna use that brand, or is he gonna retire the brand entirely? Where it's like no one can use OpTic now except for him, and he's just gonna retire it.
That would be interesting.
Like a retired jersey, right? I feel like is he just gonna retire it?
That'd be an expensive retired jersey.
But then it also it's like, well, what about the COD team like Slasher and TJ who just got re-signed to play for OpTic? Like, is it just gonna be a new team name and it's gonna be Immortals, or I don't know?
Or are they gonna sell it? That's the big question. It's really interesting. What was your thought?
Yeah, I this is something I thought this was just never OpTic was just
right.
Hecz was just done.
In everyone's book, this was a done deal for a long. OpTic was screwed.
But I mean, this could be huge for just everything, for Call of Duty, for content. Bringing back some of the OpTic guys that I don't know. It was just crazy. But yeah, like Rex was saying,
right.
What's going to happen with
the biggest question at the end of the day is what happens with the CDL spot. There's two questions. What happens with the CDL spot, and how is the OpTic brand used from here on out?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Hex's personal baby? Obviously, legally, he has to sell the LA spot and or not be affiliated with NRG anymore.
Yeah.
But that seems pretty impossible if Hecz has been so involved with them. And Scump's there, Formal's there. All of the content is signed under NRG. Why would you leave that at that point for a brand? I mean, I guess I'm down. Do you guys want to start on the CDL spot side or the OpTic brand side of things? Which one do you feel like? Rex, choose the one you want to start on. The topic you want to attack first.
I mean, I feel like I'm just going to tell you what I think. I think OpTic's going to. I feel like it's going to be kind of a retired brand, or it's going to be brought over, and the Huntsman's going to take that brand on as
and the Huntsmen are going to become OpTic.
Was look at the Huntsman's colors, the place. Huntsman basically was the new OpTic, just a different name. So maybe that will kind of carry over a little bit, and maybe they'll go to their OpTic Gaming now instead of the Huntsman, and Huntsman name's retired, or OpTic's completely retired.
Let's really attack the OpTic side of things. I mean, okay, so you think that somehow NRG is going to work out a way to work with Hecz to use the OpTic Gaming as the name for the Huntsman from here on out? They're going to rebrand?
I mean, it's just hard to say. I feel like it's just maybe. I feel like it's going to retire
that's what I'm saying.
The OpTic
it's
name.
Really tough.
I have no idea what's up his arsenal. I don't know if NRG would even go for that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Because the report was that this deal was separate from NRG, which means that Hecz is the sole owner of the spot and of the name or the brand of OpTic Gaming. But what's crazy about that is he must have had investors then. So who are the investors? We don't know.
Yeah.
Unless Hecz is sitting on $30 million, but there's no way. There's no way. So who were the investors?
Yeah, I almost wonder if he's going to acquire OpTic and then just solely use it as a content,
his own content brand.
It's the content arm. Yeah,
yeah, because I truly don't think he's gonna rebrand Huntsman. Like I feel like that would just be almost like with the amount of,
because that means he'd be selling that brand back to a corporation. Well, not corporation, but back to like a privately funded entity of NRG
like
to use for Huntsman.
Like I think he has acquired a ton of fans for Huntsman, and I think it'd be a disservice to completely get rid of the Huntsman name. So I think there is a world where both OpTic and Huntsman coexist, where OpTic is no longer a Call of Duty.
Do you think there's a world where like it's a really weird scenario?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see a world. I do agree with Rex. Like, there's a world where Hecz somehow figures out a deal with NRG to negotiate the rebrand of Huntsman to OpTic Gaming, but like, or to OpTic, the Chicago OpTic, and then they're pulling the whole Atlanta FaZe situation where they're not actually using the brand name. That's possible, I think. Where Hecz is still maintaining the full rights to OpTic Gaming, and then NRG is just Chicago OpTic, which is, I definitely think, possible. But I agree. Like I think the idea of a content arm that Hecz is heading himself.
Yeah,
because like you think of guys like Embos and Maniac and all those guys are probably like that might set them up again if they're willing to do content. I don't know. I feel like it'd be kind of weird just to.
I mean, the Best of 3 podcast is looking for a home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, like, if OpTic Gaming wants to hit us up for the official podcast of OpTic Gaming, I'm in. So
let us know. But yeah, no, like I can see. So just to kind of clear up my point, I can't say two ways. Huntsman has only been active for a year now, so it might make sense to just as early as possible get rid of Huntsman and rebrand as OpTic.
Right. It's only been a year.
Yeah.
And most of the fans know, and the majority of the fans know them as OpTic Gaming.
Yeah.
Like,
but it would seem kind of weird, like with the new fans that they have acquired for Huntsman. It might seem just weird just to dissolve it. Like there might be some blowback to that, and like you said,
and all the marketing pieces and the logos and all the money they put into branding.
Like 90% of the Huntsman fans are probably the old OpTic fans.
Right.
But it still seems kind of weird to just completely dissolve the Huntsman.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like maybe it's like a 3-year process of slowly disintegrating
transitioning it.
But
then I feel like since the league's so young, you'd want to tear off the Band-Aid.
Exactly.
Be like,
right
we
away.
are now the Chicago OpTic or Chicago OpTic or however that's going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like it's more likely that they would be Chicago OpTic Gaming or Chicago OpTic?
Probably
or the
they
Chicago
can
Huntsman
have gaming, right? Because like FaZe couldn't be Atlanta FaZe Clan, right?
Well, that's because FaZe. Well, why OpTic Gaming was able to be the LA OpTic Gaming was because they disintegrated all the rest of the esports affiliations and they were only a COD team. Whereas FaZe is so much more than a COD team, they couldn't be Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah, so they could be OpTic Gaming. You would think if
Hecz sold the full rights to NRG.
If there was a world where Huntsmen are dissolved into OpTic, you would think it would be OpTic Gaming because like that's just such a but then they couldn't do content under. Well, could they?
No, then they couldn't have any other esports under OpTic.
Okay.
They could have content creators, but
so it's probably just OpTic then, honestly.
And that would allow Hecz to potentially maintain full ownership of the OpTic Gaming brand versus like again. I think if you name Chicago, I mean, this is just a full-on legal guess about how the wording is of the contract. But like realistically, I feel like if you had to name Chicago, if you wanted to name the Chicago team, Chicago OpTic Gaming, Hecz would have to somehow sell his majority rights to the name to NRG. And he's only a minority owner of NRG in some way. Definitely not a majority owner of NRG, that's for sure. And so he wouldn't have any control again of the brand. So I'm not sure why he would buy it back himself to then sell again.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel like that's a little weird. So my personal opinion is that I think the most likely option is that Hecz maintains a content creation aspect of OpTic Gaming and then somehow works it out where they rebrand the Huntsman to OpTic.
After like a certain amount of time, so it's like they start out with like, this is our OpTic team for like content team for NRG, which is OpTic, and then eventually after 3 years, like, all right, we've done content, now we're going back into the league.
I don't know. I feel like they might just rip out. I feel like they could just do it this year. like and announce it by December.
I could see it too, but then they just completely get rid of like the Huntsman logo
guess.
and everything.
Yeah, that's like the risk reward. Like, are you willing to, kind of just dissolve and like
because he built that too. Like he built like the Huntsman too. So it's like
I may be overstating like how many fans of just Huntsman there are. Like it literally probably is 95% or
OpTic
more
fans.
OpTic fans.
Yeah.
So like they might be safe literally just to be like, okay, no more Huntsman.
And I think at the end of the day, the fans want Hecz to be back in control of the OpTic Gaming brand.
Yes.
Well, again, like he sold to Infinite because he sold out for the money, which I mean, any reasonable person would.
Yeah.
If you trust the people who are going to be taking control of it, then he got betrayed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that's why I think he right for now would want to maintain full control of the OpTic Gaming brand, unless he like has 1,000,000% confidence in NRG, which I mean he might. I mean he loves Andy, so
Andy Miller
and Andy's great.
Yeah.
So I think he's potentially it's possible.
Yeah.
That
you don't
they
think
could
he's just going to retire it for now? Then maybe like if he comes up with an idea he wants to do with it, he'll do it.
I mean that's possible.
But you think he has something in the works already with the brand, or maybe like, or do you think he just bought it so like no one else can have it, and he's like and sells the spot, and then
I mean
he's done?
I don't know because again the majority of the value of the deal would have been the spot in the CDL, especially considering that they're not expanding this year or potentially next year. So the only way a team could get into the CDL this year or next year is by a team selling. And so Hecz selling is pretty valuable, I feel like, right now for the teams that like a potential Rise Nation or insert esports org here that wants to get into the CDL. So
yeah. Which, by the way, was this the rumored?
See, and that's the question.
Selling the.
So now let's move on to the OpTic Gaming side of the OpTic Gaming spot of the spot of the deal. I mean, what do you think happens with the spot, the CDL spot itself? Yep. Again, Immortals sold the spot and the brand to Hecz. Hecz supposedly, reportedly, now has the decision of who does he sell this spot to, and he has to sell the spot, I would imagine, before the season starts.
Yeah.
What do you think happens?
I mean, are we sure that he bought the spot and not just the brand?
That's what the article said.
Yeah, like the brand is the spot. Like
they're not separable because
it's pretty much like a correlation.
Yeah.
Because the reason why, going back to why they could be named OpTic Gaming, is because that was OpTic Gaming was the CDL
was
spot.
the COD team. Yeah.
Right.
So. So like it's, I mean, low hanging fruit, 100 Thieves, nade shot. That's what everyone would be thinking.
It seems like that's not happening though.
Because on the show, like I don't know if you guys watched it, the Courage and Nade Shot show they had with Scump, and they talked about this actually a little bit.
Yeah.
And they said they had no idea.
Right. I mean, they're gonna say that.
Well, Nade Shot said that.
But I think realistically, I think the pieces are starting to fall into place. This had to have been kind of turning for a while now. There's no way this happens quick.
No.
And we saw Hecz was hanging out with Nade Shot in LA for the whole birthday thing. Like they had to have at least had a conversation about that. And on the podcast, that's when Nade Shot was like, "Can we talk about this?" There had to have been some sort of conversation there at some point. Based off what Nade said on stream though, it doesn't sound like they're going to be buying in.
Yeah. You almost wonder if like this is also too like why Rise has been teasing a bunch. Like maybe Rise has been in talks with Hecz, and they've been teasing. Like I mean, they had a bunch of teaser like tweets about like the colleague, right? Like maybe it's Rise, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, if this rumor has been true about the team that was looking to sell, we all thought it was Paris.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what basically everyone was thinking for the past week or two. And then this news drops out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, well, maybe this was the team that was looking to sell, was OpTic Gaming all along.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's both.
And it's very possible it's both. And that would explain why Paris has been so committal
to MIA. Paris is MIA.
MIA. And we're gonna talk about this in a second, but like Breszy announced that he's a free agent. Like if you're Paris, why wouldn't you sign Breszy? Like that makes no sense. Yeah. So I honestly think that it's potentially both these teams are looking to sell potentially. Yeah. But okay, so odds on, if you had to put your money on a new esports organization coming in, is it Rise for the LA spot, or is there another contender? I mean, we've seen the teases of Dr. Disrespect
Oh my god!
I mean, that
if he
would
bought a
be-
team,
That would be so cool. Oh
I
my
mean,
word.
that would be the dream.
That would be like the hypest team of all time.
that actually
Like,
would be
just
kind of
like-
lit.
Could
That
you
would
imagine
actually
an
be kinda lit.
LA Dr. Disrespect team?
Yeah, that'd be so
What
cool.
would- I mean, what if he
What
just
would
made
be
his own
called?
brand?
Like just Doc, like
the LA
Doctors or something.
The LA Docs.
Yeah.
It's just a Dr. Disrespect branded team. That would be that'd be so funny.
The disrespected.
The
disrespected.
the LA
LA
disrespected.
I don't know.
It's
I
not
mean,
bad.
maybe.
It's not bad.
But that would be so cool. Though that like the content and branding for that would have to be so good.
Yeah.
You'd think so. But
I mean, yeah, that'd be incredible. And he's good friends with Hex. I mean, hey, it's not the craziest thing ever. I mean, people kind of threw wind of the fire when Nadeshot posted a picture on Instagram of him, Hex, and Dr. Disrespect, and he was like the Mount Rushmore of COD. And so I mean, it's hard to say Dr. Disrespect's a Mount Rushmore of COD. I mean, he
made some maps. in Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, he made some maps in Advanced Warfare, and he likes the games, but like he's never been like a diehard,
super hardcore
COD guy. But
Mhm.
when it comes to content himself,
my money would be either Rise or 100 Thieves.
Rise
Yeah,
who?
those would be
or
my-
100 Thieves.
100 Thieves.
I mean, we really haven't heard any other whispers of other esports orgs at this point. I mean, it's possible that some team just comes out of the bushes, like out of the woodwork, and then pulls the trigger.
like
I
a
mean, you would
Cloud9
hope
or
like
something, or-
Cloud9. I would
Yeah,
love
they
to
just
see
announced their
United
Halo
come back,
roster.
but I don't see that
Right.
happening. But
No, because they'd have to be united. I don't know how they would even do that.
United would have to be United.
Yeah, I mean, like it would have to be like because you can't call yourselves United because they have other teams.
No. Yeah,
Mhm.
it'd be the LA United or something like that.
Which I mean, that could work with the red, white, and blue colors. Still, that'd be cool.
I don't think it's United. But Cloud9, yeah.
Which they just
Fanatics.
announced their Halo roster for Infinite. Cloud9
Mhm.
did. But
Again,
I wouldn't
I
think
tweeted
they'd
this:
be-
the Denver Cloud. That'd be fire.
that would be awesome.
the
Could you
LA
imagine?
Cloud.
Be
Could you
kinda
imagine
good.
someone that come out like, we saw this tweet about being Cloud. It's the Denver Cloud.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
Yeah.
the LA Cloud would be pretty fire.
Cloud9
that'd be pretty
and
sick.
Denver's their home city. That honestly would be kind of dope.
I know, dude.
They got
That's
the
what
good
I'm
colors
saying.
for it. Like it all fits. I like that.
It does.
I know, but yeah. So I don't know. It's. I mean, at this point, it's shots in the dark with what could happen with the spot. But like, that is going to be the ongoing news of the next few weeks. I think is going to be the spots. What's happening with Paris? I mean, at this point, we have no fluff and clue what's happening with Paris. And the OpTic Gaming brand and what Hex is doing. I mean, at some point, there has to be an official announcement. I mean, Hex is going to do something dope.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got something cooking with that. So, I mean, we had to start the podcast with the big news and address that first of all before we talk about the rest of this juicy news segment. So, next. I mean, I guess we could just right on board there with some Rostermania updates. First of all, regarding OpTic, again, we already mentioned it, but Teej is officially re-signed, and OpTic announced that. They
Whatever
haven't
that
announced
means.
anybody else yet, so like
There's such a weird spot.
Is this roster
And-
even going to be a roster anymore? Officially re-signed,
Right.
but it's like you just gave it to a new person who we have no idea what he's doing with it. He can't have the spot. So like,
yeah. So Slasher said on stream that he hasn't been able to build his team yet because of what's happening, the whole thing that's happening. So I mean, he basically confirmed that something weird's been going on, which I mean we all knew. And so Slasher says nothing official has happened with them yet, which is pretty crazy. And whatever building his team means, I mean, it probably means that he's going to end up with a pretty similar roster to what he had last year, I'd imagine. Which is what we all kind of predicted in the first place anyway. So, I mean, anything crazy there for you guys? Like when it comes to the OpTic roster, anything specifically? No?
I just, like they're in a weird place. They have one person, TJ. You'd assume probably Slasher at some point will
I'm
come
guessing
back.
Kenny.
Kenny maybe.
And then
And
the
then-
fourth is kind of up in the air a little more.
Potentially. I mean, the rumor was
John.
Draza. Yeah,
Draza.
Draza, John,
Drozdo
Temp.
John.
Those were kind of the three names that we've been hearing somewhat attached to OpTic Gaming, which I think would make sense. Temp
Temp
feels
makes
like the
sense.
most logic to me. Yeah, most logical to me.
Yeah.
And you sign them cheap because they're all going to be desperate, and then you cut them if it's not working.
Yeah.
Like I could definitely see something like that happening. But if they're selling right now, it could be a long time before we have any official news on that roster at all. So it could be a minute.
Which is very unfortunate for those players that were, like Slasher. Like
Yeah.
that probably completely like cut into his time.
Right. I don't remember if there was ever an official like end time. Like when do rosters have to be officially submitted?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know the schedule for next year yet. They haven't announced anything like that yet. But I mean, I would expect it's probably gonna be pretty late. Probably like the end of November, early December. So realistically, they have a few months to probably like figure this out.
Yeah.
So it could take a minute.
Mm-hmm.
All things considered. As again with Paris, the only news that has really come out this week was that Breszy re-signed or was a free agent, not re-signed.
Yeah.
And again, that's really surprising news. I mean, everyone thought that Breszy was going to stay there. I mean, everything that CDL Intel had been hearing was that Paris wanted a very French roster. They wanted a very European roster.
Mm-hmm.
And Breszy made too much sense for that team. And so with him not there this year, I mean, you're looking at the amateur scene now. From last year, again, they lost out on Hydra already to New York, supposedly, and everything else. So I don't know, man. I mean, what are your thoughts on Paris? Like, where are you at with these guys, Rex? What do you think?
Picking up Team War, Team Singularity. I mean,
yeah.
Or I mean, they're clearly probably going through some internal struggles. They want to sell a spot, but no one wants to buy a spot, sort of thing. So either they'll like pick up some of the same guys they had last year, or maybe they'll take the big risk and go for like a Singularity, a war team that was super good in Modern Warfare as an amateur team, because you can get those guys cheap.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, I think.
I mean, yeah, and that might be their only option at this point.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I'm not totally against. It's a big risk, but like, a lot of reward can come from it.
Yeah, like when we talked with Shift on our couple of weeks back, like he thought that was the right play too. It was just pick up an already established roster from the AM scene, and you've already got chemistry there. So maybe that's the play. And
the toughest thing though is that you go from 5v5 to 4v4.
Oh yeah,
playing with AMs. Although some of them are kind of like already been pros, but I mean, you're playing with guys switching from a 5v5 to 4v4 meta. It definitely lowers your confidence in picking up a roster of 4 of the 5 of the guys that were really good from the year before.
Yeah.
So that makes it a tougher decision for sure.
Yeah.
I guess the last piece of news that I want to talk about, kind of like referring to Rostermania specifically, was that on the Eavesdrop, which we'll talk more about here in a second, today, Crimsix talked about a little bit more about the Toronto situation and how Toronto's treated their players. And he specifically mentioned how he thought it was interesting, quote unquote interesting, that CleanX and Cammy were re-signed to their deals, but nobody else was. And that they didn't let them go and tried to see free agency. And, his theory, Crim's thought, is that they're getting pretty unfairly treated, that the org, is making sure that they're forcing them to play on their contract from last year, which, I mean, think about that. Last year, Cammy and CleanX were probably signed for minimum salary, or
very cheap. Yeah.
Very affordable.
Yeah.
So, and this year, if they were free agents, they would have absolutely gotten paid more than what they were paid last year to play on a team. Yeah. And so Crim thought that was a little unfair, and then him and Hex got into like a little debate about, is it unfair for an organization to leverage to use their leverage in the contracts? Is it unfair to force a player to play under market value? I mean, we see this in the NFL all the time, or in professional sports with holdouts in contracts, and a player's not practicing or not going to training camp because they want a better salary and they're not playing. Like, I mean, what are your thoughts on the whole Paris roster situation? Toronto. Yeah. Rex?
It's kind of an awkward spot because Hex again, he's playing devil's advocate, saying how Ultra they have to trying to make money as well. And Cammy and CleanX, if let's say they decided not to re-sign for the low amount rumored, would they get on another team, you think?
I mean, it's maybe.
I mean,
Crim was gassing them up.
There. So if Toronto's you guys can take the risk and go free agent, or you can re-sign with us for this, whatever it is, $55,000 a year. It's up to you guys. You guys were great. Maybe they'll find another team. Maybe they won't. And if they don't, now they're getting $0 a year. So it's and this is still a new org. They're trying to make money off this. And so I don't know. And also in accordance, like, the prize cut thing, I don't know if he told us if Toronto's taking a cut from it or not.
It sounded like he thought they were.
But it also was kind of scummy from Toronto to be like, I'm pretty well, there's Splice, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know how much money they have. I thought they were like super rich, but with Splice, I mean, I guess I don't know. They probably have enough money to like treat your players a little better, like give them some credit for playing really, really well. They're clearly your superstars.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a gray area, I feel like, morally, of like, what do you do here? Org's trying to make money and they're trying to save money, and they have the power to sort of do so here in this situation.
Yeah,
so
no, I agree with you.
Yeah, I totally hear what Hex was saying. Like, orgs do need to profit off. They need to make a profit, and especially with this year, where a lot of teams were expecting to make a lot of money off of the live events.
Right.
Like the teams that didn't have the content backing, and I think he even mentioned that they were one of the few teams that almost broke even.
On their Andy and Hex duo podcast.
Yeah. So like Huntsman almost broke even on the first year, which is pretty crazy.
Insane. I mean, especially considering their salary.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that they have the biggest salary in the league. Like, I mean, obviously they do.
Yeah. Because so like then you think of like a team like Ultra, who their content is pretty much. I've seen a few funny clips of like methods and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But like
not really bringing in revenue.
Yeah, not near to the extent of Huntsman.
Where the Huntsman have like game fuel sponsorships with their content specifically and things like that. So I mean, obviously the Huntsmen are going to be in a way better spot financially.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like with that being said, I can definitely see why they would try to get Cammy and CleanX on their last year's contracts, salary, just because they are trying to make a profit, which like Rex, like you were saying, like they may have given the option, like to like, hey, you can go free agent if you want to, but we are willing to sign you, from the previous year, and like maybe they didn't want to take the risk. Maybe Cammy and them were happy with re-signing because like maybe they did play well, but with it going to 4v4, they may have not known if they would have like Temp, like you see these big names
might not be on a team.
Temp, Wuskin, and Scraps on a roster right
like
now.
You see these big names not having a roster, and it's like maybe they made the right move just to play it safe for this year. So
yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good point. I mean, maybe we're just reading in, like it's like we want there to be a evil organization out there that's trying to abuse their players 24/7. But to be fair, Crim has doubled down on the fact that Toronto,
which
hasn't been great.
You definitely get the sense of Crim. Like Crim is definitely not. He never is thinking of the orgs side. Like he definitely wants all the money to go to the player, and it's like this is not possible. Like you need there's a reason why orgs exist. Yeah, and they need money. Like they do. So
although I do 100% agree with Crim's take on prize money.
Yes,
I think it should all go to the players.
Too. Yeah, like
and I think it helps the teams in the long term.
And like it creates an incentive to want to win. Like if you give them 100% of the prize pool, I totally agree.
Yeah. But also to hit on your point with the whole Huntsman profitable thing.
Yeah,
it is crazy that the Huntsman. Hex said we were so close. Like he made like a really close. Like we were so close to being profitable this year, and that was without a home series.
Yeah.
And they had 7,000 tickets sold that they all refunded. And you know how much merch they would sell at that home series? Oh my.
If they had the home series, they might have gone over. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, of course that's not including the franchise fee, which I mean, duh. But like cuz that's like a few million a year.
Yeah.
But like just their salary alone, like the fact that the Huntsmen, they probably have over $1 million salary, not to mention whatever operation costs and paying staff and content creators and everything else, like that's pretty insane that they almost went broke even just in the first year of the CDLs. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Feel good about that? I feel like we hit on that enough. So the next piece of news is Johanna Faries, the current commissioner of the Call of Duty League, is now the head of leagues at Activision, which means she's going to be both the head of the Overwatch League and the COD League, which is pretty interesting. And it was nice to see on Reddit. I was looking through the Reddit, seeing what people thought about that. And I saw Adam Apicella actually replied to it. And he was really excited about this news. I mean, he seems to be very excited about what Johanna can do.
Yeah.
And he said, this is huge for the CDL. Johanna is a juggernaut out there, and her having more power at Activision means the CDL will get more attention. Don't get distracted by her being over both leagues now. It just means that she will be building a real team around her to do both leagues the right way. She's literally the best person for this job, and when you consider not only the league needs, but managing the owners, the studio, and the politics at Activision Blizzard, I could have never done that job. Super stoked for her.
Huh.
So that was high praise from the GOAT, Adam Apicella.
Yeah.
So that's pretty encouraging, I think, for the COD League, and that he is 100% behind Johanna Faries and that decision. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, how do you guys feel about it?
I think he hit the nail right on the head, which, obviously we don't know all that goes in behind it, but like, you gotta realize, like, now that she's like at this position, she's gonna build a team. Like she's gonna have people specifically for OW and people specifically for CDL. So like, she may be ahead of both, but she's gonna probably build an amazing team.
And she's still making the big decisions.
Exactly. So like, yeah, like I think that's awesome. Like her, like if she has the right mindset and the right, aptitude, which from Adam she does, she'll build the right team of people around her, which will get the job done. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from what he said, like that, like it does, like kind of like eases my nerves a little bit about it, because my gut reaction was like, oh my god, obviously they're downsizing, which is never a good sign.
But maybe it's just the confidence in her.
Maybe I feel like it's probably downsizing, but it's not. Maybe this will end up being a good thing as well, because I mean, we have a lot of, we like her a lot. In the CDL, from what we know.
Yeah.
I mean, Hex says he likes her a lot. So,
the owners have
we all
praised
like her
her
a lot.
quite a bit.
Yeah, all the owners actually say it. But and then going into Owl as well, your worry is like, is there going to be that split attention? How big are her teams going to be? Like, how much, money does she have to play with now to organize these teams? Because if they're downsizing, might mean that they're putting less money in, which means maybe it's all going to be one team doing both, or it could be what Adam Apicella is saying, is that it's going to be two separate teams. She's just heading both. You know what I mean? It's like, there are going to be dedicated CDLs, dedicated Owls.
Is it actually more of a bad sign for the Overwatch League than the CDL, that they're losing their commissioner to the commissioner of the COD League?
No, I don't think so. Overwatch League, I feel like, did really well in like the first 2 years. Then their guy quit to go somewhere else, I think. And then after that, I feel like it has kind of like wavered a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think she'll be good for it. But if Adam Apicella is pretty confident in it, how can I not be too? Like, I think she was great. Like, I think she can talk COD too. Like, that's always my concern when you get these people in, I'm like, do they actually understand? Can they talk it? Like, if I go and have a conversation, can we talk about all the players? Can we talk about what's happening? I feel like with her, I feel like she could. Like, I feel like you could talk to her about it. Maybe not like
she's done a good job of she's done a good job of kind of diving into it. I agree.
And knowing her research a little bit. Like, I don't feel like I could have like super intricate conversations.
Yeah.
Like from just my first impressions. Like, I might be wrong about that, but I feel like she's not completely clueless where I'm like, what is going on? Right.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. I just want to say too, like, you kind of wonder if they're going to try to like highly like make the two leagues, CDL and OWL,
as similar as possible.
Pretty similar. Like, which I don't know if that would be a good thing for one side or the other, or like they're just going to try to make it more like
synonymous.
So like, it's easier to manage both. Yeah. So it's like, what does that mean format wise? Like, well, I have no idea. That's just
is there going to be cross marketing too? You think?
Yeah.
Like somehow Owl is going to be involved with CDL. Like, there's going to be some like Owl branding, or like, maybe like a show match where COD players play Overwatch against, some sort of thing like that.
Oh gosh,
that would be crazy.
It'd be kind of fun, to be honest.
But yeah, like even like in game too. Like, will they advertise OWL in Call of Duty along with CDL? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my thought would be like, I think overall it's probably better news for COD than not. I mean, at the end of the day, it eliminates the ability of Activision to show favor to Overwatch over COD, because now the commissioner is the commissioner of both, and the commissioner came from COD, who she obviously seemed to be very fond of and really enjoyed her time. And when she was on Hex's podcast,
she got her promotion, was she started there and got promoted from it. So
they had to have been liking what she was doing in COD, and like based off what she talked about on Hex's podcast, she seemed to absolutely love the scene and loved it all. So I'm pretty excited about it, all things considered, and I think everyone out there should be as well.
Yes,
absolutely,
agreed.
Real quickly, I mean, back to Toronto. I should have mentioned this earlier, but Brack mentioned that the Gorillas offered to pay part of his salary that Toronto didn't because of the whole situation with going home, which is just crazy that another CDL team is offering to pay that. Yeah. Like, what in the world?
I mean, yeah.
Absolutely.
That makes Toronto look pretty bad.
I know.
Yeah, that makes Toronto look really bad, you know?
Because that means Gorillas probably have more inside information than like anybody does about it. And then the fact that Gorillas thinks that Brack got screwed over is like, that's another level in player. That's another org being like, yeah, this guy got screwed over.
A whole another org is like, we'll pay you the salary
for no reason,
just because like they thought it was so like morally wrong with them. Like that's insane.
That makes
that's just a
really
big flex
in Toronto.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, maybe Gorillas is. I mean, you would think Gorillas might pick up Brack now, but if they don't, it's almost like even more so like Gorillas are the good guys.
Yeah.
Toronto is very bad.
I mean, they saw an opportunity to build their brand.
Absolutely.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that for sure. And then the other piece of news I was going to mention in the Rostermania section that I completely forgot to, I don't know how, but Frosty officially announced that he is headed back to Halo, and he left a little middle finger towards Mutineers on his way out.
He sure did. Oh man, that was pretty crazy.
What went down?
So you know, I'm super happy about this. Just to let everyone know,
Sam's a biased Halo fan.
I do love Halo, and so seeing Frosty back with this squad of lethal, snakebite, and Royal 2, oh, it's amazing. However, Florida Mutineers tweeted a little. Well, it's kind of weird. So that they tweeted like an official goodbye, and they even but then they said like, was Modern Warfare that bad? Like, good luck in Halo. And then Frosty retweets.
And it was funny. It was nice. Like, it was all good fun. Like, it was nothing bad.
And then Frosty retweets, I don't F with you all at all, but good looks. like everyone was liking Frosty's tweet, and like we're just responding. Like
man.
Like it was out of nowhere too. Like no one would have known that Frosty had like bad blood with.
I mean, like, did it happen in Rostermania? Like, was that the bad blood?
It must have, but like,
I mean, he's the one who got dropped, right?
Yeah.
So.
Right. But yeah, that was like so unexpected for Frosty, because like, usually Frosty's like pretty calm. You know, doesn't say a lot. He's a huge in-game leader, but he won't like bring drama. But he just like
he whipped that one out.
I applaud him for it. That was crazy.
I mean, it's weird that he seems angry at the org and not at like the team.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Like you almost wonder if there was something else besides being dropped. Like. Maybe it was like the way they handled him being dropped.
Maybe
was the I don't know.
You know, maybe he was willing to come back as a substitute, and they were like, "Nope."
Yeah.
You know, maybe I don't know. I'm just spitballing that point, but like, it's interesting. Like, do you think his first priority was to go back to Halo, or was it more like, I'm not gonna get a team here, go back to Halo? I guess.
I know.
I don't think he was getting a team, to be honest.
Yeah, like you do kind of wonder if this was his like fallback plan, like just to go back to Infinite. I don't know.
I mean, how much do you think he's getting paid in Halo? Like, do you have any clue? I mean, I have no idea.
Off season, I'm sure his salary is pretty low.
It's gotta be less. He doesn't even play. Like,
absolutely. Like, because even, you know, like,
when's Halo coming out, and when is the competitive scene even gonna start?
No one really knows what the date is, but like right now they're going through like Halo 3 and Halo 5 tournaments right now, which are like pretty low level. Like,
you're not gonna get paid much.
Couple thousand prize pool, right?
I mean, do you think him coming back, he'll immediately have success again in Halo? I mean, this is all you.
It's with his old team, by the way.
He's back with his old team that was so dominant in Halo 5, besides Splice, which had Shotzzy on it. So I think this team's going to be disgusting in Infinite. But the problem is, like you're right, like
the
Infinite,
competitive season might not start till end of next summer, next fall.
Infinite might not start until a holiday season,
which would be the next COD.
Yeah, so they definitely signed him as like preparing for it, but like I'm sure they knew like this is going to be a long.
And is there a world where Frosty could find himself back in COD next year?
That would be so sad. I'm sure they're like if we sign you, like you have to stay for the first season of
probably.
Of
There's probably some sort of stipulation there. But that was definitely interesting news that is obviously worth mentioning, to say the least.
Yeah.
And then the last part of like Rostermania news was that London announced the departure of the general manager Swizz.
Yeah.
So it's been a weird situation with London and that with their rosters at right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like they're kind of, finalizing it, but like it's weird that they let go of their general manager, like supposedly like at the end of Rostermania or like in the middle of it, depending on where they're at with the roster negotiations and stuff. It's definitely weird timing to let go of your GM.
Probably just a cost cutting move,
Probably.
Well, did you see his tweet? So I went to like this guy's Twitter, GM Swizz, and he said relieved isn't even the word.
Yeah,
like he's super relieved. Like
he's, like I said, relieved period isn't even the right word.
That's crazy.
So
what is going
happening
on with these orgs? Let's be honest here. These orgs seem like everything's a dumpster fire going on, except for Huntsman. And then you have Huntsman, the head guy who leads that, is now buying another CDL spot. It's like, what is going on?
I know, dude. It's absolutely nuts.
Everybody hates the orgs they're on, except for Envy.
I know. Year 2 might be like worse.
And Gorillas, who is complete garbage, is the good guy somehow, and everyone hated them for a while.
I know.
Like, and then Mutineers is now trash. Paris doesn't exist anymore. Like, what is going on?
Dude, it's insane. I mean, and again, this might be drawn out for a few weeks, maybe longer than that. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't expect the CDL to start probably till January again, which is really depressing. I would love to see a December event or something at least, but even if it's just an exhibition event where it's just a prize pool with no effect on the rest of the season, I'm in. Yeah. Like a $50,000 tournament in December as like a showcase exhibition. Sign me up. I'd be down, but we don't even know if that's gonna happen yet. We have no clue. So we'll see what happens with the Rostermania. We'll keep you guys updated on that. At that point, that's all we really know about Rostermania. The last thing we want to talk about, this has been a long news segment, is the Eavesdrop podcast. A little bit of I thought some of the topics were pretty...
No free shoutouts.
Pretty interesting. I mean, no free shoutouts because they need them. They really need those. But Crimsix was again on the podcast on the Eavesdrop, and he talked a little bit more about his preseason last year, Rostermania last year, and some more stuff about the past in OpTic Gaming, which I think was really interesting. They dug up some some dirt, some graves, and it was just a really interesting conversation. And I don't know. I mean, the Scumpy Crimsix stuff actually was a little bit more serious than I honestly thought it was.
It was crazy.
Really? I thought it was kind of serious. Or I got the vibe that it was kind of serious. Yeah. Well, especially once that stuff started
at the beginning of the year.
Beginning of the year, it's and then they're we're making fun of Crim. And then once Crim went on Nameless's podcast, and I was they would just make fun of me all the time and stuff. I was this is pretty serious.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah, I mean, Crim basically was it felt like I stuck up for Seth during World War II when he wasn't having a good year. And then I didn't have my best year in BO4. And then I felt like I got tossed to the curb a little bit. Yeah. And I was like, dang.
And then got tossed to the curb by the two young guys of Dashy and TJ. And then Dashy and TJ left after that season anyway. So then Hecz was pissed. You just made me get rid of Crim.
And then Hecz re-signs Dashy.
And now he's re-signed Dashy.
I know. It's weird. But
I mean, that's the biggest thing was because supposedly we don't really know exactly what that roster was supposed to be. But because Scump said he texted Formal right after Champs. And they kind of made up.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did. Made a little pinky promise or something, and group hugged, and then they were good. I honestly don't know. Probably smoked a pack in the back.
Probably did, honestly. Probably did.
No, but and then Crim was Crim said Scump didn't even tell him about Formal.
It's so weird.
And then they were gonna still kind of potentially work it out and team, and then somehow Dashy and Teej pulled the "we don't want to play with Crim anymore" card, and then that's when Scump said that he was was stuck between a rock and a hard place, choosing between Crim or Dashy and Teej. Chose Dashy and Teej, but then Dashy and Teej folded for OpTic Gaming. A whole bunch of drama.
It's crazy, dude. Which you do you always do have a picture of how it goes in your head, and for this year, it was pretty obvious Crim was painted as the villain, right? But you sit down with him, and it's there was no reason why he should have been the villain. He was the one that got screwed, and so it's.
He started poking the bear.
He did,
and so by the beginning of the year, he kind of. I will never forgive. I will never forget. I mean, he. To be fair, I did like the the
was
announcement
cool.
video. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was fun. I really liked it. And for some reason, everyone just takes a dump on it, and then it discourages teams from doing anything fun.
Yeah.
And then we get little Twitter announcements that take 10 seconds, and I was like, that's lame.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it is interesting, and like he did say that Scump was going to be the best man at his wedding. Teardrop,
gosh,
teardrop.
that hurts.
And he ended up, not even being there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, oof, big oof. I mean, he did pull out just an elite line during the podcast, and he
Oh yeah.
I know it's coming up.
and this was I was gonna mention this earlier, and I completely forgot to mention it. When he was talking about the Toronto situation,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, would Cammy and CleanX ever stay with Toronto next year? And he's like, no shot, Joe Seacott. Like, dude, what an elite saying. How have I not heard this before? No shot, Joe Seacott?
That name
I'm
will,
in.
That name will forever be just trampled on in the COD
Dude,
scene.
I know.
Oh, gosh.
I know, that was elite. The other thing they mentioned is that this year, Tish and Tommy, the subs for Empire, basically took, like, they were supposed to get 5% of the prize pool collectively, which, I mean, when you win champs, that's a pretty nice chunk of change.
Yeah.
I think that he said they were splitting it, so there's going to be like $25K each for them
Mm-hmm.
for winning champs when they did a lot of work.
Yeah.
But apparently they restructured their contracts in some way where they end up accepting not getting it.
Yeah.
But then he did say that Hastro awarded Tommy. He didn't really mention Tish.
I know. See, like, that seems weird that he, like, mentioned that. Like, you're, like, it almost seems like they, like, sat down in a room and were like, all right, you don't have to sign this, but you should sign this. Like, it's like, it seems kind of out of place.
Don't
like,
turn around.
yeah.
But there may or may not be a gun pointed to your head.
I mean, like, it just seems weird that he even mentioned that. Like, I know he was going for like they were like super outstanding subs, but I don't know. Like, don't you think like they probably helped in some way throughout the season?
Well,
like,
they said Tommy did a little bit. So that's why Tommy.
Yeah,
got paid.
in the first event. Yeah. So it's just a little weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
okay, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I
But
guess.
here's the thing: these guys were also getting salary too. So
For
it's
sure.
like,
Yeah.
if they really didn't do anything, it's probably right that they didn't get a cut of the prize pool.
But Tish got pretty screwed all year because he couldn't play in the M scene.
But in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of the thing, what's 2.5%?
It's like
Of-
$25,000.
Like compared to what they all got was what? 2.4 mil. So like
1.5 mil.
I don't know. Like, don't you think like you could each player give up like $5,000 of their own to the subs? I don't know. It just seems strange.
Yeah, I'm kind of iffy on it.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, either way. And then the other thing he said was that going into BO4, OpTic was going to pick up Hook. And then he said that they got Zooma'd.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure that out. What does
And
that
I've been
mean?
trying to decipher that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys had any thought about what we got Zooma'd meant.
Got Zooma'd.
I mean, my guess is that like at some point he says, okay, I'm gonna come play for OpTic, and like you really think that he's gonna really come and play for OpTic, and then like last second he's like, actually, never mind, I'm gonna go play for New York with Attach. Like,
but
just like the last second dip.
When he had ever done that though?
Well, my other thought was that
Well, that's
Zuma
what we don't
subbed in
know,
for
but-
Dashy.
Mm-hmm.
Zuma subbed in for Dashy, that one event where Dashy couldn't play because of some visa issue.
Okay.
Remember that at the beginning of BO4?
I think so.
It was during the Pro League, and Zuma played for OpTic for like 2 weeks.
Interesting.
So I don't know if that's what they were referring to, that we got Zooma'd.
How would that?
Because they didn't play very well when they had Zuma. And so like maybe that affected why Hook wanted to come.
Oh,
Man.
But, like,
so
does that
they were
mean they're
gonna
gonna-
pick up Hook after the
drop
season
someone?
started though?
Yeah, and drop Teej or something? I don't know.
Nah.
So yeah, I like he said it so confidently too. Like we got Zooma'd, and the Hex was like, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "You know."
Yeah.
Hex was like, "I don't know what that means."
So I was so confused. I was like, either it's referring to that like the CWL
Yeah.
when he subbed in, or it's referring to like something that happened in Rostermania leading up,
Yeah.
where like Zuma was with FaZe, so I'm not
I know.
sure what happened.
It's got to be like a
Maybe
behind-
Zuma was gonna
behind
go to
closed doors.
OpTic, and that's why.
I
Hex
mean,
would
yeah,
know
maybe
about
Zuma,
it.
Hook, that'd be interesting.
yeah. Who knows?
Zuma was supposed to go to OpTic, but then he dipped, and then like Hook did the same thing this year. But Zuma did it in like a past COD. I don't know which one.
Yeah, it's very, very possible.
I have no idea. World War II, probably the only one I can think of.
Right. But yeah, so I mean, that really basically does it for all of our news today. It was a pretty big news segment, but I think we wanted to take a lot of the time today to talk about the news and kind of sift through it because there's some juicy
I have
money.
One thing would be so excited for once we can see like a few years from now, maybe like next year, like 2-3 years, once we see all 4 of like the OG like OpTic guys, Crim, Karma, Scump, and Formal all in the same room, just like on a podcast with Hex,
hashing it out.
Just hashing, like talking about what the it was like living in that dynasty together and like everything that went on, like everything. So it's like, man,
I've never even thought about that.
You would always smoke those cigarettes, and we'd like there's all, like certain things.
And you'd always say
on
this
your case
and
formal about not eating dinner with us, but like all those little things that we don't see, they can finally talk about in the open, but like all together. Be so I'm so excited because that's gonna happen for sure.
It literally has to be like years down the road, like where they can laugh about it. Because like
like when Karma's like a big
maybe a little
social
bit too salty right now.
It would still be too salty with everyone.
Obviously, Crim is still a little salty.
Oh, he is.
Scump.
Yeah, he is.
Obviously,
which like he's got a right to be.
And we all know that eventually that'll blow over. Like they live too close together, and they're too similar personality to like. To not, it just
like
seems
when
impossible.
They all retire. Let's be honest. Like Karma's retired. Scump already said he might be done after Cold War, and then like you got Formal and Crim, Crim's getting up there. Like, it might, could happen in the next few years.
No, for sure. I agree. That's actually a really fun idea. But today we wanted to do a Q&A, kind of like our first mailbag session on the podcast. So we have a handful of questions here in the Discord. I'm pretty excited to talk about them, but we are going to use a drop. So here we go.
Hey folks, something I've been thinking about. I got a very important question to ask you.
Here we go. Oh my goodness. All right. So we got a lot of questions in Discord. If you want to ask questions in the future, and honestly, you can drop these in whenever and whenever, and there's a chance we'll answer them. We'll do some official like Q&As where we'll announce it. But maybe every so often we'll just nitpick 1 or 2 for the end of the podcast and drop them in there. So also, if you ask a question while dropping a 5-star review on the podcast, pretty high chance we read it. So that's also a good way to get a question in on the podcast. But the Discord will work. So you can join the Discord. I think there's a link down in the description of the podcast. But long story short, there you go.
Do it.
All right. So in Discord, in the Best of 3 or BO3 podcast question submissions channel, Sammy Joy Plays asks, what's your favorite COD? Everyone answer. Rex, what's your favorite COD?
Black Ops 3, probably.
Really?
I loved Black Ops 3.
Wow, this is outrageous. This is outrageous.
I mean, I loved COD 4. I loved COD 4 too, but like now it's kind of like overplayed at this point.
Yeah.
Did it so long. But Black Ops 3 I thought was fun.
Sam?
Advanced Warfare, baby.
I knew you was Advanced Warfare.
Of course that's Sam's.
That is the best Call of Duty to date.
To be fair,
Josh,
shout out. What?
Is yours? Well, I'll wait till you're done. Is yours Ghosts? I feel like yours might be Ghosts.
No, it's not Ghosts.
Shout out. First of all, speaking of Advanced Warfare, I did post a video today breaking down OpTic Gaming's phase Advanced Warfare match about like COD tips that last through the ages, and so you should go check that out.
You should
after the podcast,
of course.
But yeah, mine. I do love Ghosts, but I mean, it's BO2. It's for sure BO2. I mean, everything about BO2 was goated. Pubs were incredible. Competitive was incredible. League play, incredible. Zombies, incredible. Yeah, what was wrong about that game?
When did you start? You started in Ghosts, right?
No, I started in BO2.
Oh, you started in BO. Oh, yeah. What am I talking about? Yeah, you started in BO2. When did you start, Sam?
Wait, back in the day.
I played Call of Duty 4 on the Wii. That was my first. That was my first game.
Shout out Elliot.
Yeah. Jeez. Me and Elliot would play that game, dude. Oh, man, it was fun.
Let's go.
It was fun.
I played COD 4. I played Halo 3, and then when COD 4 came out, I went and played COD 4. I've been around, man.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I was a wee little lad.
My parents didn't let me have it. I didn't have any older siblings, so like, I was the experiment, and so I couldn't get it till later.
It's the way it
Unfortunate.
is.
So BO2, I got it on Christmas, the day after Christmas. Shout out Mick Mock's side because his dad convinced my dad that I should get COD, and now we're here.
There is.
So who'd have thought? 7 years later or whatever.
No, MW3 is probably the one I grinded pubs in the most. I grinded pubs.
MW3 is the COD I played the least.
MW3. I grinded pubs so hard in that game. ACR was my gun.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and like played a lot of MW2 and BO1, like after BO2, because I was like, I need to go back and play these CODs, and they were great. I love them. So, MW3 is the only COD that I never owned. So, interesting fact.
Dude. Great.
Fun fact. Okay. Our Kaboom, or Rackaboom, of course, legend, asks, we've read one of his reviews on the podcast before.
Yeah.
He asks, what is your dream team, name, city, roster, and colors?
Man.
It's a pretty big question, but let's go kind of off the dome. If you could pick a name and a city, and then a roster of 4, who would you choose? Let's keep it like a semi-reasonable roster, like not like, I mean, I guess you can kind of just do your dream roster if you want.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Oh, it's a lot.
Man, yeah, no, it's a lot. Gosh, dude.
I would say Boston and with the E United organization, or or 100 Thieves. Okay, I'm going Boston with the E United organization, and it's gonna be Boston United, I guess. Boston United, and my favorite 4 players would be, my dream 4 squad would be Simp, Beezy, Envoy, and Arcides.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's trying to win more votes over here.
I think mine would probably be like, I want it more like Midwestern, maybe like, Kansas City. I think Kansas City would be really cool. I think Kansas City might be my choice. If not Kansas City, some like international place, like some place in like
Sydney would be pretty
China.
lit.
I'm thinking like Asia, like China, or even like South,
There's
like
no COD market
Brazil.
there.
I could see Brazil would be kind of fun.
Brazil's cool. I'm in for that.
I guess like emotionally, like Kansas City, I feel like I'd really just root for a Kansas City team.
Yeah, that's fire.
And then players, Clayster.
What would the org/team name be?
Oh, the org. I would say E United. I love E United. So
yeah, that's gotta be your dream. Yeah,
I mean E United, Kansas City. Get Clayster on that team.
Obviously.
Clayster, Arcides, Simp, and
just E United 2.0.
Yeah, Shotzzy.
Oh, interesting.
All right, we need a team in Columbus, Ohio.
True.
We need a team. So I'm gonna say Columbus, Ohio. I'm gonna say the org. Let's get Final Boss back.
Wow.
From the Halo
Do they
days.
exist still?
I have no idea where they're at, but
the Columbus Final Boss.
I mean, how OG would that be?
If they made a comeback, dude, that'd be
that'd be sick.
Lit.
I'm in.
It'd be so cool. And then Dream Squad, formal, of course.
Obviously.
Heading it up. Formal. John.
Oh.
I like John. I just really like John. Formal John.
That's interesting. Who else?
Man.
Take your time. I mean, not like you had all of this time for us
I was thinking of
to choose your players. I think
Formal John. Shotzzy.
Mm.
Oh wow, 2 Shotzys.
And then Mental.
Oh my
dude! See, that's perfect. See, Josh, you need to change your roster, dude. You gotta pick a roster that you have an emotional connection to. You have no emotional connection. You're just like, oh, I'll pick the FaZe roster, dude. Come on.
You're so
hype. I would love to see that. I would love to see that roster.
Hype beast. No, give us. You'd
What
love
do
to
you
see, It is a
mean?
roster, dude. It is a roster. Give us another roster that you have some sort of emotional connection to.
I do. I think that's a cool roster.
Mine's from the heart,
Bro,
baby.
come on.
Mental. Oh.
You gotta have a roster with Envoy on it. Clearly,
Why?
That is true.
I did. What? My team was Simp, Abizi, Envoy, and Arcides.
I thought you said Simpa Busy,
I thought you said
Arcides.
I thing. I said the FaZe roster. I thought you said
that's
selling.
what I said.
I was like, okay,
No, I
cool,
said
FaZe
Arcides,
roster.
so.
But either way, okay, whatever, dude.
Thank you.
I just feel like I don't feel like the love is there with you. But
Well, the next question. That's outrageous.
There.
Ninja, aka Memory, which I mean, shout out Ninja, freaking legend. He did ask, how did everyone get into COD esports or competitive? Like, how did you end up really liking competitive COD?
Yeah.
And also shout out, BO2 is the best COD at Isaac. Suck one, Isaac. Let's go. I'm the kid. Rex, how did you get into competitive COD?
Bro, it's like I remember watching
Shortest story
it back,
possible.
Okay, I remember watching it back in MW3.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't
do
realize
remember
that.
watching. I remember Scump in MW3 a little bit. But like I don't know how. Like I can't recall a ton of stuff that happened back then. That's the thing. But like Black Ops 2, I remember a little bit. When I really started to like, I don't know. I remember stuff more. Is probably
Advanced
Warfare. I remember Ghosts too, though. Like MW3 is probably what got me started.
You played a lot of COD
MW3
back then, so yeah.
MW3 was the one that got me started.
And then AW really hooked you.
AW is when I think I had a more mature understanding of it. Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I had been following it for a while at that point. I knew the players' names, and it got kind of more established in AW, I feel like.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sam?
Mine's so clear cut. So, like I said, I was playing COD since COD 4, which I'm sure a lot of people have the same thing. But I remember going in to shout out to Boogie and Dylan the Doctor.
Dr. Diggy.
Dr. Diggy's house.
Oh, man.
And they said, dude, you should watch this. And it was Columbus,
Really?
Ohio, Advanced Warfare.
No way.
And they said, dude, because
you hadn't watched before Advanced Warfare? You'd played so much COD.
I played so much COD, but I never knew the competitive scene.
Wow.
That's crazy,
So,
dude.
yeah,
And you were like, Sam was like really good at Advanced Warfare.
I'm
really
telling you
good.
there's a reason why Advanced Warfare was like my thing, because they said,
I actually didn't realize that.
Yeah.
We played so much COD
we
before
did
that.
a ton.
I never talked to you about competitive COD.
I don't know. But they said, dude, because you look exactly like this dude. And it was Formal.
Oh,
And
my word.
And from that point on, I was like, I'm going to like this dude forever.
And then little did you know, Formal was a Halo pro.
Exactly. And then the other thing that stood out to
man.
me was because FaZe won that with Doug Spencer Martin on that team. And I remember
that was that event.
Yeah, and I remember seeing him sleeveless. I'm like, that dude is jacked. Like, what in the world? Like, is he real? And yeah, so it's like that memory is so ingrained in my head.
That's the last time Sensor won.
Columbus, Ohio, Advanced Warfare. That was the very first event in Advanced Warfare.
That's hilarious. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Mine was straight from YouTube, so it was just BO2. I was beyond addicted. I don't know how many hours I put into that game. Way too many. Multiplayer. I mean, I literally went. I had never played in one sitting session more than 30 minutes of COD in my life, and like by the end of the COD, I had like a 1.3 KD in pubs. Like in my first game ever playing a first-person shooter, I'd never played one. So like, I grinded that game. I literally just was addicted. And of course, to get to a point where I was even decent, I watched just addicted to YouTube videos about COD. And naturally, at some point, you're going to come across Scump and Nadeshot in BO2 on YouTube. Because I originally started watching Drifter and then started watching Nadeshot and Scump. And then like Nadeshot especially, I just watched so much Nadeshot. I mean, I didn't miss a video of Nadeshots. And so that was really how I got into competitive COD, was following Nade during BO2. It would have been in the summer of BO2, so I missed like the COD champs and Parasite Killa, situation early on in BO2. Yeah. So I really came in near the end of BO2 and started playing ranked play and league play and stuff in BO2. And then Ghosts, I watched everything in Ghosts.
That's when you started your YouTube channel, I remember.
Yeah. That was when I started posting. I posted a few montages of BO2 on my channel, but that was like right at the end of BO2, and then posted quite a bit of Ghosts.
Yep.
I've taken a lot of those videos are down in private now.
I've seen them though, and some of them
there's still a handful of them that are still up.
What does the noob say?
Oh, well, that one is classic.
I love that.
That one's classic.
Are private now.
But
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that was how that went down. Next question is: do you think Shotzzy will be as good or better? Do you think Shotzzy will be as good, or could he be even better in Cold War than he was in Modern Warfare? Rex, quick answer.
I think he'll get better.
Better
Than MVP. He'll be good. He'll be very good.
Well, do you think he's going to be better or worse?
He'll be very similar.
He'll be good. What the hell does that mean? He asked if he's going to be better or worse.
Better or worse? Are you going to say worse than his first year?
I mean, maybe he'll fundamentally be better, but his stats will be worse. Is that acceptable?
No. Is he gonna be better or worse?
No. No.
I'm leaving it at that.
Okay.
Okay,
Next
he's
question.
gonna be better. I'm gonna tell
The
you.
legend himself, Gersh, Vonderhaar Elite, asks, why is Vonderhaar Elite your favorite CDL meme account? I mean, he posts them spicy memes. Hashtag no
do.
free shout outs.
Gersh,
Amen.
You've been killing it, dude.
He has
You've
been killing it. I respect it.
You get
Keep
around.
grinding.
I'll give you that. You get around.
Yeah.
I see you
It's
in
impressive.
every single pro's comments everywhere.
Hey,
I've
It is
never-
impressive.
It's impressive.
Your name never does not pop up.
Also, if we're not answering your question, it's because we already probably talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So don't feel
Yeah.
bad if we skipped your question because it's only because we already talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Basically, next question is T-Bones asks, why is that funny, Sam?
I don't know.
He asks, how do you feel about Temp as a player now? And do you feel like Pac-Man could develop into a great coach for a team?
Oh my God. It's funny that he mentions Temp because I used to not have a great outlook on Temp until like
you did not.
You were a
recently.
Temp hater.
And I was telling them, I was like, you know what? Temp might not be that bad. Like I
And
actually
it's
kind
all
of like
because of that
Temp
vibey
now.
stream. It's all because that stream
Yeah,
he
it
did.
really-
you fell in
dude,
love with
if you have not-
Temp when he was ranting.
If you have not, was after the rant. If you have not checked out Temp's stream recently, it's like if you're looking to just to vibe out and chill, like his is the stream to do it. Like I actually had like a really pleasant time in his stream.
What? I think SalvationsElite stream is the place to
He
do it.
has the worst camera.
Oh my
though.
word, it's so bad.
It's
and
so
like it's like
grainy. But
here's
stretched
the
out.
thing.
I know.
It's
so
personable
bad.
though. It's personable. It's like a stretched out camera, but like it's real. Like there's no like
It's just funny
glitz
though.
and
Like
glamour. It's like this is like him in his room with his little
This-
weight set behind him. Like
this dude is
I do
probably
respect that.
has so much money, but like he doesn't want to spend on a good camera.
I mean, he is living in
mean,
New York, I think, so that's
is true.
expensive.
That-
Rex, I mean, you would know. You're neighbors with him. You
Dude,
could be
there's
neighbors with.
if he's
You could
living
be
in New
neighbors
York,
with
he's
Temp.
got a big ass apartment. But
Yeah.
if he has,
Yeah,
that's his
you could be
bedroom. He
neighbors
has a
with
weight
Temp.
set and a bed in there and everything. I wonder how
Who
big
knows?
the rest of his apartment is.
Who
Like,
knows?
Who knows? But that was a great question.
Yeah.
Oh, he also asks, how fast? What is your bet on when Cold War? Oh, he asked about the community league. I thought he was asking about league play.
Oh.
Will there be a community league? Very possible. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So, what Spades Ace asks, who do you think is the most slept on, underrated team so far? After Rostermania going into Cold War. Out of all the rumored rosters,
There's only like 5 of them. I mean,
well, confirmed, but also like with LA Gorillas. I mean, the Mutineers at this point looks like it's set with their current roster.
true. Underrated. I don't know if anyone's underrated right now.
Like LA Gorillas roster. I mean, I feel like Minnesota's roster, the Rocker roster, is still
That's
a little
true.
underrated.
That's true.
Just because people are sleeping on Major Maniac.
I'd say Rocker is probably underrated for sure.
But at the same time, they have a pretty big name roster, so I don't know if that counts as being underrated. But
Yeah.
you think they're
Um,
underrated?
Well, like you didn't like him.
I think they're a little overrated.
Oh, okay. Well then,
I don't know. Well, then who would be your underrated team then? The LA
Might-
Gorillas? The Toronto roster? Methods, Cammy?
I mean, probably
Vance?
Toronto. You'd think Toronto, right?
I mean, maybe.
probably.
I wouldn't mind. That's not a bad pick.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Dude, Father Boogie.
Father Boogie.
Father Boogie asked a great question.
Yeah.
Keep, trade, cut. Dashy, Octane, and ILLeY for a roster. Who would you keep? Who would you trade? And who would you cut if you had those 3 on a team?
Okay,
Sam.
I'll go first.
Yeah, Sam, go first.
Octane, I'm going to trade because he has such a high stock value, but I think I can get someone better than him because of his high stock value. I'm going to keep ILLeY because he has so much potential. His ceiling's high, and I'm going to cut Dashy.
This is a tough question. He
Let me-
targeted this one.
So, Josh, what are you gonna pick? You're gonna keep.
I want to hear
Dashy,
you first. I
trade
want to hear you
Octane,
first.
cut ILLeY,
I
I'm
want to hear you
guessing.
first.
I want to. I'm in the same. I think I want to cut Dashy, to be honest. And then
Man,
trade
this is tough.
ILLeY, keep Octane. Very weird for me to say
Oh.
that, but
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I want to keep Octane. But like he also has the highest trade value out of all 3 of those as well.
Don't you think you can get someone that...
I mean, you could get a pretty incredible piece for Octane.
Mhm.
I mean, in a world where you like with where roles don't matter, you could trade Octane for like Simp or something probably.
Yeah.
Octane's Octane. There's not a lot of ARs, and he might be the best one.
But you also have Dashy sitting here.
Well, you're cutting him, so
Well, you have to either cut Dashy or Octane, but how do you
You're-
cut Octane?
you're not gonna cut ILLeY.
Well, because of the roles. So in this situation, there's 2 main ARs. I have to cut one of the main ARs.
Well,
So I have to
Dashy
cut
can
Dashy.
flex. Like, let's be honest.
I mean, he can flex.
He can do both.
But ILLeY's a sub.
Final answer.
I'm keeping ILLeY, trading Octane, cutting Dashy, but I don't
Nice.
like it.
Good answer.
Wow.
Good answer.
I don't like it. That's because of roles, not because of value of a player specifically in any way. I'm not liable.
Gotta bag yourself up. You don't know what can happen. We don't want another Toronto podcast situation
yeah,
here.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Logan Radke.
Oh, well, yeah. Logan Radke. Shout out Bravo Boys. He says, we're the Bravo Boys. We're World War II Bravo Boys. The best fans in COD Champ history.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, that is facts.
I was there.
He's
They
actually
get the most
literally-
attention,
Sam's
I feel
actually wearing the 2018 COD Champs hoodie right now.
I was there.
Shout out Sam.
It was fun. Good time.
You guys
should've
may have
grabbed
locked
mine.
eyes.
Yeah.
I know.
Should have.
Connor Steph asks, which COD do you think was the most fun to watch competitively?
Advanced Warfare.
Fun to watch, really.
I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. I know I'm biased. It would either for me be Advanced Warfare or Black Ops 3.
yeah, I mean, BO3 is a pretty good answer.
I think BO3 might be mine, but he's right. AW BO3 were really fun to watch.
I'm really
fun.
biased, though, with Ghosts. I loved watching
You
Ghosts.
cannot say it was better than BO3 or AW, though.
I mean,
I think it's because the storylines of
I
BO,
can't.
the storylines of Ghosts
Yeah.
were really juicy. With OpTic dropping so many guys, like the whole like Scump went to Envy for a minute, came back, and like JCap was switching rosters, and like there was a lot of missing pieces with Merc back on like Envy and all of those storylines. While Complexity / EG was dominating the year.
Yeah,
there were some really fun
I truly
storylines.
wish I would have started obviously in Black Ops 2 because I do think that Ghost year would have been crazy.
The problem is you gave up on Ghost too soon.
I did.
Sam was a Ghost hater at the time.
Let's not
I
talk
didn't
about
like
it.
Ghost either, to be honest.
I loved Ghost, man.
I played
loved
it, but I
Ghost.
did not like it very much.
But so I would probably say BO3, but BO2 and Ghost are very close, respectable second.
Yep.
So Rex, you said
BO3 is
AW?
probably my favorite to
BO3?
watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's a good question. I like that question.
Yeah.
Kempin 78, freaking legend himself, asks. Also, side note, BGM Fantasy this week. Loser.
Dang.
He asks, "What's your best achievement with your podcast in your own eyes?" Well, probably beating you in fantasy.
Oh, jeez. Double roast and
Nah,
30
that's not a
minutes.
roast. That's a compliment.
It is,
It's an accomplishment. What's the best achievement with the podcast? I don't know. I mean, I just like that it exists.
Mhm.
I like that we're doing it.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like, how did this even start? It's like started with like a group
Well,
chat.
I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time, and I was like, "Are you
Yeah.
guys down to commit to like every Monday doing this thing?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure."
Well, I feel like we've mentioned it like all of it. Like, I know, like, I feel like I've mentioned it before, and then like you were talking to me, it's like, yeah, like I want to start one. I'm like, yeah, it'd be a great idea. I remember doing that. Then like Sam as well was part of that conversation. Like, I don't know.
Well, like I feel like it all really started when we were the only three playing World War II GB.
That was kind of where
Like-
it initially.
like
all of our friends, everyone bailed on us, especially led the charge, led by this like sword, like holy like knightly sword of freaking the Kid.
yeah,
Leading
oh my
this like
God.
knighthood of hating on World War II and going to play Fortnite for a whole year. And it left me, Rex, and Sam all
the Fortnite
alone
craze. That was when the
playing
Fortnite craze
BO
took over.
playing best of 3 3v3
3v3
GBs
GBs,
respawn.
World War II.
We were playing
We did
before rank play came out.
Before ranked.
Well, then rank play came out, and you couldn't party
couldn't
in
play
threes.
threes. That was
and we're like,
so-
"Are you effing?" We were so pissed.
I was so
Yeah.
mad.
And then of course none of our friends were hopping on because the Kid led this like white knight charge of Fortnite, and so it was just the worst. But that's kind of like where like the trio aspect of things kind of originated.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
idea of the podcast was something I've been throwing around for like the past like even before franchising. But when franchising was announced, I was like, all right, the CDL is going to be around for a while. We need to capitalize, and so
Yeah.
that was the thought.
It was fun. But yeah, achievement wise though, like for me, like I think just like getting more and more comfortable, like with each episode, and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, and obviously seeing growth too, and like the communities, building too. So that's fun to watch. It's fun to see it all happen. So
Oh yeah, for sure. Siege asked. He also asked about the story of how we became fans of competitive COD. But then he also asked, "What's your favorite or fondest competitive COD memory?" And also love the new content on the Shady Nero channel.
Woo!
Big ups.
Let's go.
So shout out, guys. Shady Nero has been posting on YouTube. He does some fire best Reddit post of the week videos, throws up some other random news videos every so often. And
At least once a week. At least once a week I get videos out
it is worth the watch. So go subscribe to Shady Nero on Twitter or on YouTube. And follow _Bo3 and Shady Nero on Twitter.
Hey, hello there.
But he did ask, what's your fondest memory in competitive COD history? Rex, do you have a fondest memory?
OpTic Gaming versus Rise and Black Ops 3 and the huge comeback that they made.
Oh, wow.
That was probably the hypest competitive game. It was, I don't know if you remember it, but they were down. I can't remember the score, but the scoreline was
They're down like
which event
12
was it?
down so much, and they came back in like 30 seconds, and they made like 12 to like 4.
The uplink match?
Uplink.
Yeah, okay,
on,
I've definitely seen that.
What was the map called? I don't remember, but
it was the one with like the like side
middle-
temple, middle little
Yeah.
box, you like wall run.
below, yeah.
what's
But
it
I
called?
remember
Starts
what
with the
side
B.
Rye was on,
Starts with a
side
B.
OpTic was on. Oh my god, that was probably the most hype like uplink game I've ever seen in my life.
I have no idea.
Sam, you can talk about your fondest memory.
Fondest memory, I mean, obviously, like one of the highlights was when I first watched Columbus, Ohio, Breach. When I first saw my first ever match, but
That is a crazy memory.
other than that, though, I think the one that sticks out of my head the most, though, was the Black Ops 3 when OpTic got knocked out by Cloud.
That was.
Just
I do remember where I was watching
insane.
that. I was
Yeah,
watching in my dorm room.
aches.
Yeah. Aches and Rick just stand up and just roast them. And I was like, oh, it's so heartbreaking. Because, like, when you watch Formal's point of view, it seemed like he got that kill.
Oh, with the
like,
burst, yeah.
He seemed like he had it, but then he dies, and then, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, like for me, it's like my fandom of OpTic kind of like died when Nadeshot retired.
Left, yeah.
Like at
See,
the same
that's
time, it's
weird
like
for me, dude. I had a huge fandom for OpTic up until like basically they started crumbling pretty hard in like World War II.
World
But
War II.
even maybe before that, but yeah.
I mean, like I wouldn't say I disliked OpTic because I definitely was like the storylines were juicy and like I did want to see them win. At Champs, I was rooting for OpTic because just like the legacy aspect of things. So like with that BO3 one, I was pulling for OpTic at that time, especially against Cloud9. Like Cloud9, aches. But like my fondest memories, it's gotta be in Ghosts. It's gotta be probably the X. I just reacted to it because it was really requested for. But probably the X Games in Ghosts because at that time again I was a big Nadeshot fan and so I was all about it and that was Nadeshot's first MLG win. He had never won an MLG event until that point, and I'm a huge sports fan, so like him winning the X Games, I was like, dude, that is insane because I've been watching X Games for a long time.
Yeah,
and so that was probably my fondest memory. Besides
I remember that, yeah.
But besides that, it would be either World War II champs or BO4 champs. Just being there, was unbelievable.
World War II champs was lit.
Yeah,
we got an honorable mention for World War II champs.
Side note: me and Rex drove from Lincoln to Columbus in a 12-hour car drive for that.
And I was
so
working the
sick.
event. I was flown there luckily by MLG, and so we all ended up staying in an Airbnb
we all
together.
got an Airbnb, and I slept on this like it was like probably like a 3-foot couch. Like it was the tiniest couch of all time.
You willingly
stayed on the floor.
Yeah, I was on an
the
air
only
mattress.
one. They only gave us a bed, and I was the only one in the bed.
It was that Airbnb was like advertised as like a 4-person, 4 or 5
Yeah, y'all should
person.
have cuddled in that.
I mean,
cot.
we probably should have, but then I'm a huge snorer, and I know Rex
Oh,
threw
dude.
a pillow at me at one point.
Yeah,
so.
that was obnoxious.
Dude, I did throw a pillow at you, dude. I remember that.
See, I had a hotel room with like MLG,
Yeah.
but my roommate was the worst snorer of all time.
Worse
I'm like,
than me.
it's worse than this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll just go stay with my
Absolutely.
boys.
Yeah, it was so fun.
So that
It
was a
so
weird
cool.
weekend. But with champs, that was my first champs. All of our first champs experience.
So much
So that was
fun.
really
Yeah,
dope.
if you have not gone to a COD Champs, you gotta
You have
try.
to.
I think it was a really fun LAN event for me. I
It was
thought
just
it
like-
was super fun.
like everyone there like has like the same mindset. Like it's just so fun to talk to everyone. Like
I wonder what like the CDL champs is going to. It's going to be interesting because there's not going to be. I don't think there's going to be a Bravo station because like how
probably not.
It'll be one main stage and they'll probably like schedule out the matches over a span of 2 days or 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, in a world where there's no COVID, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, so like that is definitely a fond memory. BO4 champs was awesome as well. Being like on Poly Pavilion on UCLA's campus was really fun, and it was the last MLG run event ever. And it's like that, like, and I was able to meet Hex there, which was really cool.
That's cool.
And so that was a really cool event as well. So that would probably be my fondest memories as well. I also saw Zed posted a video of him reacting to the Reciprocity LG match, and I was reffing that match. And I got featured.
Featured.
Oh,
And it was
featured.
Pro Players video.
Good job, dude. You made it.
Hey,
I was in the background.
Hey now.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was
yeah,
cool.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that was cool.
But yeah, so there you go, boys. This was a weird podcast.
It was.
Again, I lied.
Oh,
Taylor had a fire question.
Yeah.
Best show on Netflix /Hulu / whatever.
Like of all time or currently?
Can we do both? All time and current?
Yeah.
Best show all time / current. Do you have yours off the top of your head?
No.
I have mine.
Okay, go for it.
I would probably say all time. I would specifically say The Punisher stands out. I love The Punisher.
That's a good
It's
choice.
such a short run show because it's only a few seasons.
It's a good choice.
But it is so good. Currently, it's currently The Boys. The Boys is unbelievable.
That's Amazon
it's
Prime.
so good. It's Amazon Prime, but you know.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I'm going to piggyback off that. The Boys is incredible. Of all time.
I might also say The Walking Dead all time. I
was
do
a
love
good
The
one.
Walking Dead.
I mean, Game of Thrones has got to be the best.
Game
all
of
time.
Thrones was phenomenal. Dude.
Except for the last season, like whatever,
season
but
was pretty
it's
bad.
pretty good.
I've never watched Game of Thrones. It's one of my big TV shows I haven't watched.
You got to watch it, dude. I'm one of those people. I get tilted when I hear you haven't watched Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like
It is pretty
You're
incredible.
a hype beast, dude. How have you not watched it? Makes no sense.
It's because like before I had any interest, it was like 6 seasons in or whatever, 5 seasons in. I'll just wait for it to end.
Yeah.
And then it ended and everyone was like, it sucks. And so I'm like, well, why am I going to watch it now?
Yeah. True.
So, Sam?
Yeah.
Yours is Game of Thrones all time?
I'm going to say The Boys currently, and of all time ones that I have watched, oh my gosh. Pass. I have no idea. I can't. I'm sorry.
dude?
I can't.
Talking about good shows. Attack on Titan, another.
Oh,
Attack on Titan
all right,
is
the
so
podcast
good.
is ending.
Attack on
Phenomenal
Titan is
show.
so good.
Attack on Titan. It's so good, guys. I know it's an anime. Some of you guys are so anti-anime, but it is amazing. You got to check it
It
out.
is so good. It is so emotional too.
Oh
It's
my
so good.
gosh. I can't be asked. So if we didn't answer your question, I'm sorry. It was either really close to something we already talked about, or like it was a really broad question that would have taken like 10 minutes to talk about. And that was the only reason why we didn't answer anything.
There'll
So
be future chances.
we will be doing more of these for sure. So this was a fun time. And I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you guys did, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Drop a review on Apple Podcasts. We do appreciate that. 5-star review, of course, on Apple Podcasts. And follow Shady Nero on YouTube and Twitter. Follow Bash_BO3 everywhere on Twitter. Everything else.
Everywhere on
But as
Twitter.
always, guys, I'm your boy SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash_BO3. To our farthest right is Rex, Shady Nero. And guys, we will see you next time. We out.